Ido Leffler is the co-founder of Yes2 Inc., makers of brands like Yes2 Carrots and Yes2 Cucumbers. Ido and his team have built Yes2 into one of the leading brands in the world, achieving distribution in more than 28,000 stores in some 29 countries. His company's focus on transparency and consumer engagement has defined his community work and approach to generational engagement. That work also includes the Yes2 Seed Fund, which is helping to create micro-farms near schools in Kenya, Tanzania, and in the US. Ido serves on the Global Entrepreneurs Council of the United Nations, and here he is.
Hi, everyone. Hello. Hello. So I'm going to apologize in advance. I'm Australian and I swear. So I think all Australians should start that presentation off. And Heidi handed me a tequila shot as I was on the side here. And she said it's really good tequila. So I'm just going to drink this. I'll sip it. But since I'm between you, a drink, and Sophia Bush, I'm going to try to do this as promptly and as quickly as possible, because Sophia, which I hope you guys are all going to be at tonight, is one of my dearest and closest friends in the world. She's like my sister and an aunt to my kids, and she's one of the most special human beings on the planet, so you're really going to enjoy her. But I wanted to really give you a little bit of a perspective about really where millennials fit in terms of leadership, in terms of companies, in terms of structure. And over the next 2 hours and 15 minutes, I'm going to tell you this. And really lead you step by step. But the idea is really, and I think what's most important about millennials is to get to know them. Now, I'm very much on the cusp of millennials. I'm on the millennial cusp fringe. I was actually born tomorrow on the 19th of July, 1977, so I'm kind of not quite there, depending on which articles you read. It's between 78 to 82. I'll take if I was born a little bit 6 months, if my parents could have waited 6 months later, I would have been a millennial. But for me, that whole notion of building leadership and building millennials is pretty simple if you just understand a couple of key messages. And the first message that I can really, or the biggest overarching thing, if you take anything away from this, is relationships. So let me tell you a little bit about Yes2, why we started it, how it became what it did in the short space of time that it did, and how the millennials helped us grow, and how us as millennials, we've been able to lead forward. So Yes2 started with a very simple vision. I had just met my wife. We were living in Tel Aviv. We were leading the typical Tel Aviv hedonistic life, which was work hard during the day, party hard at night, go to bed at 4 in the morning, wake up at 7, start all over again. Very simple Tel Aviv life. And we wanted to improve our lifestyle. We wanted to improve our lifestyle by eating better. We were doing yoga. We were doing a bunch of fitness things. And we wanted to also improve our beauty regimen. Not necessarily my hair care regimen, but a beauty regimen. And we were, at the time, we were looking at the natural beauty brands on the market. And they were all great. There were great natural beauty brands on the market, but they didn't really appeal to me. These were brands that were designed for the green, granola, tree-hugging, Birkenstock-wearing, Berkeley set. And we were these Apple-using, Virgin-flying, Mini-driving people. And we wanted something that appealed to us, something that didn't make us smell like tea tree, that didn't make us necessarily feel like we were rubbing candle wax all over our body, and something that had the efficacy and the price to match. But we also wanted to set up a brand that was all about yes. And this is something very much a millennial thing. Millennials hate the word no. If you say no to a millennial, they'll figure out a way to circumvent it. So we decided that we wanted to be a yes brand. And yes meant yes to everything. We didn't want to be standing up on a pulpit telling you that the others are bad, don't do this, don't do that. To take that even further, I'm the founder of what today is the second largest natural beauty brand in the US. The antiperspirant that I'm wearing right now is clinically proven to be killing me. But I really want to be standing close to you and not have you run away. I'm a hairy Ashkenazi male. And so I need a very bad antiperspirant. So we didn't want people to feel like they had to compromise on their life just to go natural. And if somebody has a natural antiperspirant that works, please send it to me. So we decided we wanted to launch a brand all about yes. We also decided that we wanted to launch a brand that was really going to have a big social mission and a social cause behind it. But what we really wanted to do was build a brand that people cared about. So our first brand was a brand called Yes to Carrots, a stupid name for a beauty brand. Because everybody that first heard about it thought we were a juice company, a salad company. The last thing they thought about was that it was a beauty brand. But we started in Israel, 6 products in 16 stores, and we somehow had the chutzpah to call up a very small chain here in the US called Walgreens. And Walgreens at the time had 5,800 stores. And for whatever reason, we just assumed that we could get in there no problems with the very little money that we had. And through a contact of ours, we got given a meeting, a chance meeting, 30 minutes. So I flew from Tel Aviv to Walgreens, which what I thought was the greatest presentation of all time. If I look at it today, it looked like a 4-year-old did it, but it was the greatest presentation of all time, and I wore a suit, and I never wear a suit, and I walked downstairs, and the guy picking me up said, Ido, you can't wear that to Walgreens. What do you mean? This is a good suit. I bought it for like $199. It's a great suit. He goes, no, you need to wear a tie. So I said, oh, really? He goes, yes, at the time you need to wear a tie to Walgreens. We ran all the way to Neiman Marcus, and in the corner of the store, on the very far back corner, like a sword coming out of the stone, was this hideous orange tie. And I thought to myself, wow, I'm the carrot guy. I need an orange tie. I'm going to do that. So I went and bought the hideous orange tie, which pretty much cost as much as my suit. And I put it on, and I went to the meeting, and I was sweating and schwitzing. It was terrible. And I was sitting in Walgreens lobby knowing that this was probably the most important meeting of my entire life. And as I'm waiting there and I'm thinking all these things through my head, I'm thinking to myself, what am I going to, I've got half an hour, 30 minutes to change my life. And the story goes as follows. Actually, so excuse me, can I borrow you for a minute? Yeah, you. Come on, up on the stage. What's your name?
Julie.
Give Julie a big round of applause, everybody. Julie, please come upstairs. Julie, you signed the waiver before you came to... OK, great. Awesome. So, Julie, if you don't mind just standing here, great. Now, face me, please. Okay. Now, pretend Julie, her name's Michelle, the person who I'm meeting from Walgreens. Say, hi, Michelle. Hi, Michelle. Now, Julie, if you don't mind, can you put out your hand like this? OK, awesome. So it's actually, you're perfect for this role because Michelle was dressed pretty much like this. Now imagine a Midwestern, beautiful woman, powerful woman at Walgreens, who I'm meeting for 30 minutes, is walking up to me for what is the most important meeting of my life. And she walks out and she goes, and with her hand out like this. And in those certain moments in your life, things happen in slow-mo. This was one of those really slow, and again, I'm schwitzing, I've got this hideous orange tie on, it's all happening. And for whatever reason, I decided to do the following. I walked up, moved her hand out of the way like this, leaned in, gave her a hug, gave her a kiss on both cheeks, and said, hi, Michelle, this is how we do it in Israel. Give Julie a big round of applause. Thank you. Thank you, Julie. So, but this is where the magic happened. And this is why that hug was so important. And I swear to you, if I didn't hug Michelle, I don't think I'd be on this stage right now. Because that 30-minute meeting, the first 30 minutes of that meeting became a relationship-building exercise. The same way you should be treating your millennials. We built a relationship. We talked about our families, we talked about our lives, we talked about our homes, and it became a 3-hour meeting. That 3-hour meeting then became many more meetings, and then 4 meetings later of me flying backwards and forwards from Tel Aviv to Deerfield, Illinois, 4 times in about 6 weeks. ended us getting listed with Walgreens with an online trial, which we did crazy things through a website you may have heard of at the time called MySpace. And then that really exploded. And through that single relationship, and Michelle, who's now become a lifelong friend, I'm going to her daughter's wedding in October. Like, really, she's my fairy godmother. She doesn't like that I say this. But through Michelle, it really just gave us our life. And it was all about building that relationship that was so critical from the minute we started. We didn't talk about me selling her a line of cream. Effectively, all we make is creams. We haven't changed the world. But we had a really cool mission with that cream. So we said, you know what, we have this thing called a seed fund. Why don't we plant organic fruit and vegetable gardens around schools in the United States and teach kids where their food comes from? So we started to do that, which was fantastic. And as the company grew, we were able to give more and more of our revenue towards that. At one point, though, that became a little bit murky. And the recession hit. And we went from being the guys that planted gardens in schools to being the guys that gave money to anything that made us cry fund. Not a good idea. We lost our message. So we really quickly went back to message, gardens in schools, and then we met these incredible millennials who followed a really interesting thing. They built a relationship with us. And they introduced us to these programs that they were doing in Africa. And it's funny that you guys were saying this morning about programs in Africa, and I'm going, oh shit, I'm that guy. But we really want to connect US schools, teach kids about food, teach kids that they can also empower kids in other countries and get the African kids to help the kids there. And today we feed over 10,000 kids a day through planting micro farms in schools in Kenya and Tanzania and connecting them to each other, which is the greatest bit. So at some point, this is funny. This is about engaging our millennials. This is our, this is our foosball team. We play against a brand called Method. So Method actually beat us in the last one. It's kind of like, okay. Publicly, Method did not win. They cheated. No, Method won fair and square. We're going to have a foosball rematch very soon. But we started to plant these gardens. This was me about 2 weeks ago with some of our team members and some people. What these kids can teach us and what we've been able, to learn from them and from the communities there, and just by giving a little, they've been able to give us so much back. And the interaction and the authenticity that bred within our millennial base, because we included them and asked them, what can we do? What do you want us to show you that we're doing? So we literally went there and we started tweeting about it every day. There's actually better cell phone reception in Kenya than there is in San Francisco. And it was incredible. We got to see how the food's prepared from the food that they grow. And it was really powerful. But what I really loved is figuring out what themes mattered. What was important? We started to ask our base, what is critically important to you? And it was all about building those relationships around ownership, transparency, love, giving them the inclusion. You've sort of heard that theme in the previous session. Including them in C-level discussions, including people within that framework. And you got to see today, a co-founder of mine in another business, Soma, which you saw this morning, you saw Soma. I was that guy that walked through the door as the Brita spilt all over the ground and we're wiping up the floor. Mike is that perfect example of what a millennial leader is all about. Never takes no for an answer. Circumvents everything. And we learned one critically important secret to how to build and how to get somewhere fast. I'll tell you the back end and then I'll tell you the front end first. The back end is, once you've started to build these relationships, follow up intensely. The follow-up is as key to the message as it is to the sale. If you can follow up through social media, Twitter, YouTube, whatever it is, that's fantastic. But the key message is the first step. And I want to show you something on my cell phone. And some of you in this room I know this because you're a little bit older, and I know that you probably know this particular app. But a lot of the millennials don't know it, and this is something more towards the millennials. And it's an app that comes on every iPhone that not very many people know about in the Millennium set. And I want to just make it really clear to everybody because I discovered it and it changed my life. And it comes on every iPhone for free. It's remarkable. It's this little green app here with a phone. It says phone. Phone. And wait a minute, watch this. You press it, and it pops up. And this thing called a keypad comes up. Watch this, watch. Let's do this. Let's play a game. Let's try to call someone. Let's see if his phone's not on silent, because he's in this room. Let's try this game, really interesting. Let's see if he picks up his phone. Let's see if it works, I hope so. Let's see if he answers me.
Hello?
Hi, Mike.
I'm sorry, I'm going to talk.
Oh, okay. Look at this. I'm talking and he's listening. It's amazing. So this whole notion of, thanks, Mike. That wasn't rehearsed at all. The whole notion of picking up the phone and making that connection, and then connecting through social media, and then doing the follow-up, builds that authenticity. And when we first started Yes2, we organized this thing called the Yes2, the VIC conference calls, very important carrots. We organized these conference calls, and the first conference call, like 8 people turned up. And we treated it as though it was 2 million. It was the big event. And we discovered something to encourage people to come, to more people to come to this conference call, and to build that real connection with them. We offered them something that it was like a big psychological study that we discovered. It's a Yes2 proprietary thing. People love to get free stuff. And so we started to offer free stuff at the end of calls, and then more people came, and then they started to give us advice. And then when we wanted to ask, when we do focus groups at Yes2, the way we do it is simple. We go on, some people hire big firms. We go on this thing called Facebook. We put a note saying, who wants to come to our office and play with some new product and tell us what they think? Thousands of people apply within an hour. Simple. Ask the people that you care about what they care about, and then they'll tell other people about that. That's how you get millennials in, and that's how you get them to win. So what I want to leave you with before we go into questions is the following: a cute video.
You say tomato. I say tomato. Potato. Tomato. Tomato. Carrot. Carrot. Cabbage. Bola. Onion. Vitungu. Tomato. Dirt. Digging. Watering. Dripping. Growing. Connecting. Talking. Loving. Learning. Teaching. Dancing. Potato. Potato. Tomato. Tomato.
Thank you. My dear, I want a hug. That was fun.
It was so fun. Didn't I tell you you'd love it? So we have some special guests here.
Say hello to my special friend. We can make it my tequila shot.
So, I'm going to go. Oh, my gosh.
Here, have a sip of tequila.
I'm good, thanks. It's a lucky thing. It's the end of my day for now, and I'm flagging, so it's good it's you at the end of the day, because clearly you could go on for hours. But I would love for you to talk a little bit to the person who cannot go on for hours, right? Because I'd go out on a limb and say much of the sort of Ido mystique is just Ido. So how does a person who's out there trying to internalize some of the advice that you've given them to get that excitement and enthusiasm and sense of mission and infuse it into their work, how do they create that in their own authentic way?
Yeah, it's really, that's a great question. I think the best way to do that is to find the thing that makes you different. You know, everybody, all of us have something that makes us different. You know, I look kind of funny with no hair, and I've got this great accent that gets me into places. And so everybody has a quirk. Everybody has something that makes them different. And I would say that you should embrace that. You know, one thing that I didn't end off with is that you know that orange tie. So since that day, every single work day for the past 7 years, I've worn something orange. Every day. My wife forbids it on weekends, but I wear something orange every day, and that's to remind me of where we started. But as a result, it's become something that I'm known for, and people within our community, our friends, colleagues, look for it. And it makes me different. So figure out what makes you different, embrace it, and go.
You have to show the audience at home what you're wearing orange today.
I'm wearing orange watch. This is kind of orange. I have orange on my socks. I have orange on my No.
So live your truth. You talked at the end about finding the people you care about and asking them what they care about. How do you identify those people beyond just your small circle? Because sometimes that can be a challenge. It can be limiting. So when you are looking for new people and looking for new insights, where do you go and how do you identify those folks who are going to be your conduit to that insight?
You know, there's a great way to do that is by attending things like this. You know, we're in the beauty world, so we went and attended every single beauty trade show known to man. But we didn't do it just go and attend. Initially, we didn't have money to do these things. I'm going to say something that Derek and the gang are probably going to get quite upset with me about. We used to sneak into VIP parties.
The accent.
We used to just do things. And we always used to find ahead of time who was going to be at the event, because you know who's going to exhibit or who's going to speak. And we would make a list of 5 people that we needed to meet. Toilet stalk, whatever it was, we would get these people. Toilet stalking is like when you watch who's walking to the bathroom and then you walk in after them.
Another pro tip.
And we would do everything possible. And I can tell you the first time I met Mindy Grossman, who's the CEO of HSN, one of the most remarkable women on the planet, was in the VIP conference, in the VIP room in Cosmoprof Bologna in Italy, in a room that we were definitely not invited to be in. And we met, we had this amazing connection. We sat down on the floor. She asked me what we were doing. We were literally on the floor, legs crossed. And as a result, we were the first brand ever to launch as an HSN Today special, and which was worth hundreds of thousands of dollars for a brand that didn't exist. So it was pretty remarkable. You just find those people and get in there.
And be brave. So how do you, if you're talking to the executive at a more traditional company or somebody who has trouble sort of being brave in that way and is dealing with those millennials and people who kind of have your mindset of I will toilet stalk the person I need to talk to, how do you encourage them or make them feel comfortable with encouraging that kind of disruptive and innovative thinking in a traditional setting? What's your advice to that person, the grown-up, so to speak?
Take the tradition out of it. Be an actor. What's the worst thing that can... I always ask people, what's the worst thing that can happen? We're not doing anything crazy. We're not insulting anybody. We're not, we're being polite. But one thing that we've always done is overt politeness. We're polite to everybody. And we treat everybody, regardless of whether they're the CEO or whether they're the person who's opening the door for you, with the same level of respect. And if you do that, and if you go that way, what we found along there, because one thing that I also didn't mention when I started, we didn't know anybody in the States. Nobody. We came here clueless in terms of how big this thing could get. We just had a dream. And in that dream, we overshot that dream probably within the first 3 months of our business. So the thing that I've learned and what I see people like Mike and what I see people like Sophia and I see people, these are all regular, normal humans that just have that somehow find a way to either act their way through it or figure out a way to have the guts to just go up and build a relationship. The other thing I would always say, I never ask somebody, hey, I really need something from you when I first meet them. I always ask them, how can I help you? And once you ask somebody how you can help them, then you always end up winning. Because at some point they'll say, how can I help you? And that's when you can go into your spiel.
It's a friend for life. When you look out at the landscape in your industry or really across the board, what are you excited about that you see out there?
I'm excited about the next gen, not even the next gen. I'm excited about, I've got a 4-year-old. I see what gets her excited, and it's different to what even gets a 10-year-old excited. Now, I see, I don't believe that any new company, as millennials, and as brand wearers, I wear whether it's my Tom's shoes or whatever it is, the CTC bracelet that I'm wearing right now, whatever it is, it's my badge. I only buy from companies that I know do good. And as a result, I think that's the future. I think brands won't have a right to exist unless they have a real mission and drive. And big brands can do that too. Unilever is doing amazing things. General Mills are doing amazing things. Target, phenomenal things. $1 billion back to schools. And I think the ability to do that is something that is remarkable. And I see that as the future. I see people coming in, studying what I call clean slate brands and winning. And we compete. We're the only private brand. In the top 5 natural beauty brands in the United States, we're the only independent. The rest are owned by publicly traded companies. And we're winning because we're authentic.
There it is. Dropping the mic again. Thank you so much, Ido
Giddy up.
Leffler.
Thank you.